Hello and welcome to Against All Odds, another episode where we talk about survivor stories, people who've come through from trauma, facing different things in life and coming out as survivors from being victims. Now today we want to talk about drug abuse. We often hear campaigns about drug abuse, and sometimes we may know of a relative who is also under the influence of drugs, but we may not understand the depth of how drugs can take control over someone's life. Now today, joining me to tell me her story and how she's become from a drug addict to a survivor and being sober is Thelma. Welcome, Thelma, to Against All Odds. We appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us right here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Great. So let's just start off with, your upbringing. How was it like when you were growing up, your childhood? Can you safely say that, my childhood was great? Or, some things were lacking.
Yeah, my childhood was pretty great, actually. I grew up in a Christian home, just like all Zimbabwean kids, mostly. I grew up with my grandmother before I went to England to be with my mom. And I did my high school there up to about Form 4, my GCSEs. Then I came back here. And I stayed with my grandma as well in Cheetown. It was actually really good. I can't complain. I did not see anyone abusing drugs in my house. So it kind of started with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started abusing drugs when you were young, when you came back from the UK, back
yes.
here, and you're staying with your grandmother at the time. What was your first contact with the drug? What drug were you in first contact with? And how old were you at the time?
I think I was 18. I can't really remember if it's 18, 19 or 17, but I was still in my teens. And I started with weed. You never really know you're an addict. I never knew until I went to rehab. This is last year. And I just smoked weed because it was fun and everyone is doing it. Everyone's doing it. It's a drug that is just in the streets. And in Cheetown, most drugs are in the streets in Cheetown, in ghetto places. So I started with weed. Then I graduated to alcohol.
Okay.
Because alcohol, everyone drinks alcohol at parties. But then my extent was excessive.
Okay.
Because it was alcohol every single day now.
Okay.
I would skip school and be at my friend's house drinking alcohol and smoking weed every single day. Smoking weed. In the morning I would wake up, smoke weed. In the afternoon, I can't do my chores until I smoke.
Okay.
Gotta understand this. I couldn't do it. And if I don't get weed, I have to make a plan. I can spend half of the day making a plan to smoke weed so that I sweep the house.
Oh, okay.
That's how bad it was.
All right.
So yeah, it started with weed and alcohol.
All right. So with alcohol, you say that you'd drink every day, and with weed, you'd smoke. In a day, how much weed or marijuana would you go through? Was it just 1, 2, or we'll estimate it like a cigarette?
Yeah,
most probably.
Okay,
yes.
So I started 1, then I built tolerance, then 2,
okay,
3, 4, 6, 10.
Okay.
10 blunts a day.
A day.
Yeah, 10 blunts a day.
And with the alcohol, was it I'm drinking because I'm smoking weed, or was it I'm drinking because I also want to get intoxicated? How much would you drink in a day as well?
Yeah, I think I would drink because I'm smoking weed.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm smoking weed. I don't think I've ever drank without something else to top it up with. Yeah.
Okay.
Towards that as well.
And at the time, you say that you were actually back in Zimbabwe. You were now in school as well, so you were a teenager. How were you balancing school at the time, and also, you taking the weed, you being hooked on alcohol? Yeah. How were you balancing the two? Because I don't know if that's possible.
Exactly.
And then how would that work out?
I always say it's by the grace of God when I pass, man.
Okay.
Like, I'm a beauty therapist by profession now. And I think I used to go to school once every 3 months, because you just can't juggle both. Like you said, you just can't juggle both. When I'm high, I feel lazy. I can't handle getting in a combi and going all the way to school. Or, it feels like so much work, so much energy that you're putting. So I never used to go to school that much. You really can't juggle both. You can't. And my performance dropped down. My teacher was so concerned. She used to call me, what's wrong? What's going on? At some point, she actually thought I was pregnant.
Okay.
Because she was thinking, what could be so bad? Or, what can press a girl child to not come to school? Because I did look distressed. I would be quiet during the lessons. I'm listening, but sometimes my mind is not there. I'm just high.
Oh, so you'd actually go to school
sometimes,
high on
I would
on
go
weed?
Yeah, if I go to school, I'm definitely high. I don't think I've ever went to school sober.
Okay.
I would go high on weed. And I would actually take a blunt in my bag so that I would smoke at lunchtime as well. So my teacher would look at me and say, what's wrong with her? She's not talking, because when I first went to school, I was very vibrant, I'm energetic, I'm talkative naturally. So when she sees me quiet, she's like, what's going on? But she just never knew it was drugs. So she thought I was pregnant. She calls me, she says, are you okay? Are you pregnant? Is this something that I need to deal with? You know, I did lie to her that ndakavisa nombo, you know. So she just gets off my case.
Okay.
I wasn't pregnant, but I just couldn't tell her I'm smoking weed.
Okay.
You know. But yeah, it's very difficult to juggle both. It's very difficult.
You were young, you were a teenager, you were going to school. Where would you get the money to buy drugs? You know, like this is something that you saw your friends doing maybe, and you're like, okay, let me try it out. From there, that's how you got addicted to it.
Exactly.
But Maria chumeiwana kutenga.
The weed is very cheap.
Okay.
It's 50 cents.
All right.
Well, it used to be 50 cents. I don't know now. God, I don't want to know.
Okay.
But pocket money, you know. My mom would send me pocket money. Even kuchikoro kwandai, and I used to go to town, so I would get Maria Kombi. And you know, when you're a teenager, you need a friend's name and we say sometimes my wind, you never drive and got to the say I pinned out Kombi, and I've got that dollar. So I always make sure that I've got my dollar for my packet. Can I always top it up? So yeah, pocket money definitely buys the drugs when you're starting out. And
you would hide the weed, the marijuana and alcohol. Would you hide it? Like, would you have a secret place in your room where you'd hide the stuff so that maybe your grandmother wouldn't see this?
Well, my grandmother never used to come in my room.
Okay.
You know,
so
she's just like, so she never used to come. But yeah, I had a compartment. Kalitu nice, you know, like that one you keep cigarettes in.
Okay.
You just roll your blunts and just keep it in your wardrobe. I never really had to hide it because no one used to come in my room. So.
Oh, you didn't share a room with anyone?
No.
Okay, it was your own room.
Yeah, it was my own room. Yeah.
So from weed and alcohol, did you ever experiment with anything else? Did you go from I've done weed, I've done alcohol, and then maybe someone came through and they introduced another drug? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's like I always tell my peers at Sober Living Space that it's very easy for you to graduate from drugs or alcohol to something else worse. If you see people who take like ciders, they always graduate to wines and then spirits, you know. For me, I went from weed all the way to crystal meth.
Okay.
So my friend came one day, crystal meth, I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know if it's a drug or not, how it felt, but I just knew that I wanted to try it. It looks interesting, and I'm already smoking weed, so what could be the harm? And back then, we didn't really have knowledge on these things, like drugs. And I'm sure at those times, it was actually coming in Zimbabwe. In Chi-town, it wasn't found the way it's found now.
Okay.
And it wasn't sold the way it's sold now.
Okay.
So he came, he's like, do you want to try this? It makes you really energetic. I'm like, what is it? They call it crystal meth. Okay, cool. And I started taking it. So the more you take it, the more you're hooked to it, the more you get addicted. If I had taken it once or twice and left it, I think I would have been saved. But then because it was very nice, and like anything, everything that comes in early, it's cheaper. Then it starts to, you know, get expensive as you get more consumers. So I started smoking it every day, and I went to my uncle. I stayed with my grandmother and my uncle, my mom's younger brother. And I went to him. Probably now my mom still thinks my uncle is the one who got me into it, but I'm the one who got him into it.
Oh, you actually introduced your uncle?
I introduced my uncle to crystal meth, because my uncle already was smoking weed.
Okay.
He didn't teach me, but he saw me one day with a blunt, and he said, Thelma, I know you smoke weed. So then he passed me his blunt. He's like, okay, since you smoke anyway, so I'm not going to stop you, so here you go. Let's
and you actually went on to introduce?
Yeah, I went. I was so happy. I was excited. I went. I said, Uncle, oh my God, man. You always say you want to be energetic. This is the thing. Okay. You need to try this. All right. And then that's how I started smoking the crystal meth, and, you know, having someone to smoke with, the better.
Okay. So I'm going to stop you there. And as you can hear, Thelma narrating her story. From a young age, she got addicted to drugs, and she said that it started off with marijuana, which is also known as weed, mbanje, and then it escalated from 1 blunt, so they call it, to 10 a day. She also went into alcohol until she got into crystal meth. So when we come back from the break, we're going to understand how she then got addicted to crystal meth and over what period of time it was. This is Against All Odds. Welcome back to Against All Odds, and we are talking to Thelma, who's a drug addict survivor, and she's just narrating her story to us of how she began. Now, just before the break, she did say that her mom at one point thought that she was actually introduced to drugs by her uncle, but it was actually vice versa, where she is the one who introduced her uncle to the drugs. So as you were saying, Thelma, you then introduced your uncle to the drugs, and you said this is something you definitely want to try out. And then he also got hooked onto it.
Yeah, yeah. Because, you know, we were already addicts of weed. It wasn't something that you would, you know, like be psyched about. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? What is this? It was exciting. And we wanted more. So we started buying more and smoking more. So that's how it went. And we just been doing that. We were doing that for, I think, 5 years before I got help.
So let's talk about you using crystal meth. I want to talk, because obviously you've graduated from marijuana, weed and alcohol, right? Abusing alcohol to the extent of now using crystal meth. And you say that when at the time it wasn't popular. It was still something that was still new, fairly new in Zimbabwe. And, you know, the price wasn't as high. So I'm assuming that at some point it actually got expensive, that your drug addiction also became expensive. Now, you were saying that you were getting money from your mom who'd send you pocket money. But Maria crystal meth match, because you said from 50 cents, I don't know how much crystal meth is now, but I'm sure good price it's now a different level. Saka Maria kuzoramba muchi, you know, tenga maiwana kupi.
Like I said, my mom would send me pocket money, maybe $20 a week or $50. It just depends what I want.
Okay.
And madiri. My drugs ne madiri.
Maita madira hapi amaita.
Yes, madiri.
Apana chai sapfura pamuri. Chero chaita.
Apana chai fura. And my uncle munwe maoku.
Okay.
He does everything. I don't think there's something that he doesn't do. He does recycling. You know, I laughed one day when I was in town and I saw manual recycling.
Okay.
Because it reminded me of my uncle and me. Most people who do recycling is to get money for drugs, because it's the easiest way to make money, and it's illegal, and you know, you don't have to steal, because stealing is a lot of effort, you know.
So you'd also steal to get money for drugs. Okay.
People would steal ukatoshaya bhusi yako, maybe unongwasiya one bhusi iri panze, one yapinda mumba unotoshaya one yacho. I know uchazorasa chete bhusi imwe yacho, washaya imwe yacho, and I would be waiting for you to, you know, throw it so I sell. So stealing is definitely part of the addiction committee, you know. Would steal in the house, you know, and would sell everything. Everything, you can sell everything.
Even
earphones,
your own belongings?
Chargers. I've got a new pair of socks that I think my drug dealer would like. I would say, ukona shisha, my socks ayakakufita esha. Chingondipo kana 0.3. You know, that's how would do barter trade.
So it would be a barter trade. I'll give you items, and then he will want to buy my drugs.
But you know, most boyamans, they have a lot of things because of people who come in and get drugs. Mazambia, you know, just a lot of things.
Okay.
So
you'd even sell your own belongings?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And you know, the drug mindset would tell you don't need it. You know, I've got, because my mom used to send me things like new earphones, original earphones, headphones, etc. And it was like, you know, I don't think I need earphones because I've got headphones. But anyway, I think I'll get it next time. Then I'm selling it because I just want my drugs right now.
All right. And when you got addicted to crystal meth, which is also known as dombo or mutoriro, Auntie, how many grams would you smoke in a day?
Crystal meth, you know, it's 0.1. This is less than a gram.
Okay.
They rate is 0.1, 0.2 up to 0.9, then 1 gram.
Yeah,
there's that little scale.
Yeah,
they put it on a scale and then you over measure over to pure 0.1. So it's 0.1 is equals to $1.
All right.
0.2 $2.
Okay.
Up to a gram.
Okay.
So now, because when you start smoking crystal meth, you start, even 0.1 would satisfy you.
Okay.
Then over time, you build resilience. and tolerance. And point one won't feel the same as it did yesterday. So you want to reach the same high, but you just need point two to reach that same high. And then it's up to a gram.
Okay.
You know? And at some point you can't stop smoking. You have to be high all the time. So when you feel like the drug is getting out, you smoke again.
Okay.
So up to a gram a day, would smoke a gram a day.
All right. And how did you feel when you were high on drugs? What was the feeling like? Did you feel good? Was it always, a good feeling that I have all the time? Or sometimes you felt depressed or unhappy? Or how would you feel?
Drugs have a way of making you feel limitless.
Okay.
You feel on top of the world.
All right.
You feel like all your problems are behind you. You do not have time to think about problems because you're just so happy. The thing is, when I smoke weed or when you smoke crystal meth, it gives you false dopamine. The dopamine is that feel-good hormone that you have in your body. So imagine if your body naturally releases, let's say 10% dopamine per day, it will give you 99.9% dopamine. You're just happy for no reason. You're energetic, you feel good. If someone tells you tragic news, it's just like, oh, okay, because you do not have space to feel other things. You can't feel stress. You can't feel like something is going on, something tragic. You don't have time or the energy or the chemicals, to feel that because you just have so much dopamine. So it's a chemical imbalance that is caused in the brain to make you feel good and to make you feel really happy. So that's how I was feeling. I felt like I could combat anything. Hell, at one point, I felt like I could be the president.
Okay.
That's how bad it was. You feel like you can do anything. Even the worst of crimes, you feel like you can do it because you just do not have the chemicals to feel otherwise. That's how it was for me.
Okay. Well, as you can hear Thelma narrating her story about drug addiction, she went from using marijuana, also abusing alcohol, until they went to crystal meth. Before we go for the break, let me just say, are these the only 3 drugs that you got to use? Or were there any others that you can just mention now, but you don't have to go into detail about it?
There's ecstasy, cocaine. We tried that as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as you heard, as a drug addict, she decided to try out different drugs, but the most prominent one, the one that was seeming to take control of her life, was definitely the lombo, also known as crystal meth, cannot mutoriro. But when we come back, we're going to find out how Thelma decided enough is enough. It's time for me to go for rehab, and how she managed to become sober to where she is right now. This is Against All Odds. We'll be right back after this break. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to Against All Odds, and now let's talk about how Thelma managed to survive being a drug addict. I cannot imagine how difficult it must be, or the journey itself, how difficult it is, considering that even if you do survive being a drug addict, there's always the temptations that come through. But Thelma, you've gone through crystal meth, you've gone through weed, you've gone through alcohol abuse, you've gone through ecstasy, you've also used cocaine, you've used all sorts of drugs.
Yeah.
And crystal meth being the one at the top, taking control over your mind, over your body, over you as an individual. Let's first look at your health. Was your health okay when you were under crystal meth?
No, it wasn't. Mentally, I was not okay. Physically, I was not okay. I was so skinny, like 45 kgs maybe. And I'm 28. And that's not, like you said, it's not proper for my age to be that skinny. And I always felt dizzy, and I always blacked out in the road because I couldn't stand. I always felt dizzy all the time. So I was not okay all the time, and every single time that I was craving, I had headaches. So yeah, my mental health was and my physical health was put in danger.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you say, this is enough, I'm tired, I need help? What happened?
Okay, so I did forget to mention that I have a son.
Okay.
And his name is Daniel. He's 3 years old. It is by the grace of God that I have my baby, because I was smoking when I was pregnant a lot.
Okay.
And I was scared that my baby is probably going to die, or he's going to be born with mental health problems, which is almost like always the case. Like if you're smoking or you're drinking or you're smoking cigarettes, you're going to have a baby who's going to be, you know, healthily disturbed. But by the grace of God, thank you, Jesus, Daniel is safe, he's good, he's healthy, and I can only give it to God because I didn't take any precautions when I was pregnant. But what made me stop, or what made me think of stopping, was Daniel, mostly. He started crying for a lighter. He's 3 years old now. But at one point, when he was 2, maybe, he started crying for a lighter. He would cry for a lighter. If you hear him quiet, and you're wondering what is he doing that he makes him so quiet, he's got that bulb in his hand and he's doing this with it.
So he
You
was
know,
sort
he
of
was
imitating
watching
you.
exactly. Because I was smoking in the house. There was no way I was going to hide that from my son. My son would see these things happening in that environment, and that is a very abusive environment for a child, because I didn't grow up in a childhood that was abusive like that. So I started thinking, how am I going to let Daniel see this and keep doing this? He's growing up. He's now finding it easy to hold a lighter. You know, he's okay with it. And imagine the way I was living wasn't really good. If I had kept in drugs, my son was going to grow up maybe a criminal, stealing because it was okay for you to steal. He was seeing his mom do it, so it's okay. So that's definitely one of the reasons why I needed to stop. And another reason was just me, man. Like before, I knew who I was before, very ambitious, goal-getting. I knew where I wanted to go. At this point, I should be doing this and that and that and that. I should be doing this with my life, etc. But none of that was happening for me because I was just stagnant. I was stuck in this cycle of drugs, smoking, smoking, drugs every single day. And I wasn't looking for a job. I wasn't looking forward to life. I had cut communications with my friends and my family. If my brother is coming to pick me up for a party, I would jump the reservoir just to get away so that I would escape the judgment my family would give me. You know, just being told you're skinny is judgment to a drug addict, you know. Like, why are you judging me? How do you know I'm skinny? How do you know is this? Because as far as we are concerned, as long as you didn't see me smoking, I'm not smoking.
Okay.
You know, innocent until proven guilty thing. Yeah. But then I started looking at my life, and every single day I felt depressed, you know, like, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll go on Facebook once in a while and see a friend of mine who I went to school with doing something great, and you're just back there, you know, on the same cycle and doing nothing, and you're growing up, and which was very depressing for me. So I did think of stopping, and I wanted to stop. Deep down, I knew I did want to stop. But it's very hard to just stop like this. You know, being a recovery, it took so many people to help me. My family intervened. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would have been. They are actually the biggest people who have helped me to get over this. They are also learning what drug addiction is, so that they won't judge me, and so that they understand better how to treat me or what was happening to me, so that we can live together again. Because, you know, I had destroyed so much relationships. You know, I so many relationships within my family. I wasn't talking to my sisters. I wasn't talking to my brothers. I didn't want them near me. I was lying to my mom so much every single day. She didn't even trust me anymore because she didn't know what was true that was coming out of your mouth, because every single day, every single thing is a lie. So yeah, they're going through classes with mbanje, the place that I am, and they are also learning how to live with me.
All right.
So, yeah.
So you've been in rehabilitation since when? When did you go to rehab? And how long has it been since you've been in rehab?
So I went to rehab last year, 24th of March, and I'm coming out on the 24th of this March. So it's been a year of sobriety.
What's 24 is like next week.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, I'm very excited. I am.
Yeah.
So I've been in rehab for a year now.
Okay. And I want you to talk to, you know, someone out there, the youth, the young people who may be thinking, you know, maybe going into drugs, or let me just try out because I think this is cool. Like you say, it starts off from weed, or it starts off from alcohol abuse, and then definitely. It escalates to, oh, you should try this because this will be fun. What would you want to say to them when it comes to drug addiction? Okay,
so currently I'm doing as many campaigns as I can with mbanje. That's the sober living space that I'm staying at. It's called mbanje. And they're taking me through campaigns and awareness campaigns to just tell girls or boys and everyone who is listening what it is. What is addiction? What are these drugs that we like so much? Because, you know, being a drug is addictive and it is nice. That's why it's a drug, and that's why people keep wanting to do it. And I always tell people that I think if I had known, if someone had come to me and say, you know what, Thelma, this drug, it's called crystal meth, what it does to your brain, what it does to your physical health, what it does to your job, what it does to your family is this and that and that and that and that. No one wants to go into danger knowing. No one does that. So if I had known earlier, I wouldn't have gone through it. But I think the best knowledge or advice I could give someone is, if you are an addict or if you know somebody who is addicted, stopping on your own is very hard. It's almost close to zero. You can't just stop, because you're not only fighting a physical drug now, you're now fighting with something that is now attached to you. It's like another you. It's like you and the drug, you coexist, and you can't stop on your own. You need help. I got my family to help me. Batrapangwe organization is helping me. I've got an OT, occupational therapist, who's helping me integrate again into the society, you know, because it's been so long, you know, being away, shut down from society. I can say almost 4 years, because when you are in a drug addiction circle, you're just in there. You're not outside. You don't know what's happening. I didn't know what was happening.
That's your community. Yeah.
It's your community. You don't know what's going on in the news. You don't know what happened to who. You don't know who is progressing. I was surprised. My brother's got 2 kids. I was like, what? When did this happen? And it's like, Thelma, you were never there. It's like you were dead. So you need help. You need to reintegrate. You need to know how you do things again. To go back to, I always say that you need to know how to be human again, because you're almost an animal, you know. Yeah, so I would definitely tell people that you need to get more education about it, so that you can help others. It's not, you know.
Yeah.
You know, some people go to extra length and to be because I won't but they're just desperate. They're sick. I was surprised when my mom kept calling me and said, Thelma, you need help. I'm not going to help you find a job until you get help. You are sick. And I didn't understand what she was saying. I'm sick. How am I sick? You know, a sick person is in hospital, but this is a different kind of sickness. Mentally, it's good to also protect your mental well-being as well as your physical well-being. So good education on how to treat people on drug abuse, and how to deal with it. If you've got a family relative who is suffering from it, you should know how to go about it, how to get them help. Because, you know, everybody wants help. It's just hard. And it's hard to admit, and it's hard to take that first step.
Well, I want to say that congratulations to you first and foremost. You were brave enough for realizing that you definitely need to go to rehab, and that you've actually survived a year in rehab, and it will be a year of sobriety for you come the 24th of March. Congratulations to you. Keep on doing this. Keep on educating the youth out there when it comes to drug abuse. And remember, you're doing this not only for yourself, but also for your son and for your family.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you've had it, Thelma narrating her drug abuse story. She's come from being a victim to being a drug abuser to being a survivor at the end of the day. She's been sober for a year and she's so excited to continue her journey. We say no to drug abuse, and this is Against All Odds. Back again next time with another exciting story that will inspire you. My name is Rachel Munyeheli.